Welcome to Burned and Better. I'm your host, Dr. Denisa Weber, a seven-figure CEO, speaker, mother, entrepreneur, and chiropractor. Over the last 15 years, I've faced the highest highs and the lowest lows of entrepreneurship, motherhood, and leadership. I've burned more times than I can count, but every time I've found a way through and come out better. This isn't about polished highlight reels. It's about the real, unfiltered side of leading, the kind of conversations usually kept behind closed doors. Here, I share my own stories and sit down with leaders who've stumbled, recalibrated, and built something worth leading. So if you've ever felt the weight of success or wonder what it looks like to fall hard but rise stronger, you're in the right place. Let's normalize the messy middle of leadership and step into the episode. Welcome back for another episode of Burn and Better, guys. I'm so excited. I get to have Dr. Jaime Parks. She is the founder and CEO of American Hearing, a multi-state audiology enterprise. I didn't say that right. Audiology enterprise with 20 clinics across 8 states, y'all, and 70 plus team members. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. That's a lot. But her real education didn't come from her doctorate program. It came from rebuilding her entire leadership philosophy after losing 75% of her team in 1 year. Today, through JLP Consulting, she helps private practice owners avoid the costly leadership mistakes she made, because sometimes the best way to learn how to lead is to first learn how not to. And that is so fitting because that's what this podcast has been all about. So welcome, Dr. Jaime Parks.
Oh, thank you so much, Denisa. It's such an honor to be here. I appreciate it. I can't wait for this conversation.
I know, me too. So me and Jaime, little context here, me and Jaime know each other from another mastermind with Steph Wigner, and y'all just happen to be cousins, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And I loved listening to some of the back and forth of y'all's history, like as cousins, and like she was leaning on you, and obviously you have like all of these clinics. And I mean, like, I feel like you almost gave a permission slip to her to see what it's like to have more clinics and lead that way. I would have appreciated seeing somebody in my family doing something like that, early on. But Jaime.
Well, she inspires me as well, right? It's very mutual.
Yeah. Well, we were just talking about her. Yours should be burning right now. We were just talking about her before we even started recording. And I was like, we've got to record this because all this stuff is good stuff that needs to be on this episode.
Yes.
But Jaime, also, I remember when I talked to Steph was like, you were going to connect with Jaime. You and Jaime are like one and the same. You and Jaime need to meet each other. And I totally get it now when she said that.
100%. 100%. And she said the same thing to me. And I was like, okay, I got to meet this woman. Then I was like, yes, of course.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So before we get into all of it, take us back. Like, how did you come to own 20 clinics? And then I want to hear about the year that you lost 75% of your team.
Yeah. Yeah. So my journey is very, it's unique. I was working for a group of private practices in Kansas City, and the owner at the time had 55 locations in the Midwest, and they sold them to a corporate company. And I'd already worked for that corporate company as a sales rep. And I said, oh, hell, I'm not going back there. And I also was at a point in my career as an audiologist that I recognized I can do this, right? And so I bought one practice, an existing practice, and I worked it hard. And I knew that I was going to open more clinics. I just didn't know my timeline. And so about 2 years in, I opened my second clinic. And about that time, my previous boss, who sold the 55 clinics, his non-compete was up. And I had asked him before, if you have a desire to rebuild, I want in. Like, I want in on that. And so he came to me and he was like, I think I'm ready. And I was like, what? So there were three business partners. We all got back together. And then we went from 3 to 20, like overnight. We had the ability to open up a clinic, make it very profitable, and then just go right next down the street to wherever our next location was and open another practice. And then I think we were at about 6, 7 clinics, and a company came to us and said, hey, we have a bunch of clinics in your territory that we're not running well. Would you like to purchase them? And so overnight, we went to 20 clinics. And that is really how, I mean, overnight, I took on, I think it was 13 clinics. And going through that process, because some of them were in our backyard, some of them were across the street, really consolidating and making the business grow. But without my business partner having 55 clinics himself, that would have been terrifying to me.
Yeah.
Right? But we had such great operations. We had such great processes. It was literally copy and paste. So the transition was relatively smooth. The culture was the biggest thing. But they were coming from a huge corporation and coming to this business that we had already had a reputation from my business partner. It really gave us, we were an ideal place to work because people knew that we cared and that we could do it. That's how we got to the 20. And then we decided we were done growing in Kansas City, Nebraska. And then we found some partners in other states where we bought into their company and they became affiliates. And so that really gave us the ability to grow without traveling so much.
Wow. I just can't imagine having 13 overnight.
To me, it's not scary to grow when you have the talent.
Totally.
When you have the doctor, when you have the provider set up and they already know the job, that's the hardest part. You don't go and buy a practice and put someone brand new in it if you want to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Unless you want to be in there with them the whole time. So we had that privilege of, and we, bought the other company. It was, we had the talent. We just needed to put our processes in place, use our marketing, and keep them busy. And that really was our whole mission and our whole goal.
Did you find when all that acquisition was happening, did the team stay? Did most of these teams stay? And did you find you guys hitting the ground and having profits on all of them?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Most of them, yes. I would say 99%. We had to let people go. We couldn't take everyone because we obviously had our own clinics. And so that was a tough process. And I remember we passed on a provider that would later come back into my orbit and change the trajectory of my business.
In a good way?
We passed on her because she was so new at the time. And then when I had someone leave in my 75% exit, her name came to me and my business partner was like, you should call her. And I called her and she literally turned my clinic. The clinic was doing maybe 400 a year and it hasn't done less than 700 or 800 since she's got there. And that was 7 years ago.
That's amazing. Wow.
It's amazing.
What happened? What happened? What created a 75% employee? I mean, I feel like my level of anxiety just went up reading that line. I was like, oh.
I can still remember panic, the disappointment, the fear, all of it. And so, what happened was I wasn't being a leader. I wasn't. I was being a private practice owner and I was running as fast as I could and doing everything as well as I could. And I expected anybody I hired to watch me and duplicate it, no matter what. And I didn't, I just needed seats or butts in the seats, as they say. So I hired it. I hurried, right? I hurried. And I had a team of 4 and 3 of them quit. And it was like, my mom had to come to town and be my receptionist.
Oh, man.
I needed help so bad. But what I realized was when they all left, I realized I'm carrying this whole company. I am doing all of the work. I am the only person that can answer these questions. I haven't trained and I haven't held anybody accountable for what I need help with because I didn't know how to necessarily train them, but I also didn't know how to let go.
Yeah.
I was holding on so closely and being such a control freak because I had this pressure, right? I had this pressure to make my 2 businesses work. And so, one of my clinics that was around, 400 was maybe 300. So I'm over here working in the other clinic, working my butt off just to cover the bills of both, right? And I never would have fired the provider in that clinic because I went to grad school with her and I
Oh.
loved her, right?
Oh, that is so layered.
But she got burned out because I was pushing and I was running as fast as I could. And it wasn't in the way that she needed. She needed a leader. She needed someone to have conversations with her about the numbers and the expectations and the goals. And so when I hired her replacement, it was like, look, I'm having these conversations and I'm having these expectations up front because this is where the business has to go. And I remember that provider had asked me when she looked at the numbers, she's like, how did you make this work? And I said, I sat on my patio and I cried a lot into my wine glass.
Yes.
And at that point of being vulnerable with her, we just connected. And I think she didn't say it out loud, but her message was, that's not going to happen anymore. It's not going to happen. We are here to make this business rock. And she has been just amazing, amazing for the company, for the team, for me personally. And she gave me the ability to be a real leader and talk about accountability. And, she's an A player. So when I'm not pressing her to hit a goal, she's calling me going, what's my goal? What should it be this year? And if I'm like, it's X, she's like, okay, I'm doing X times 10%. Like, right. She is just, and so I understood then what A players meant. And it gave me the ability to then go back and have honest conversations. I also got a coach. I was like, I can't do this alone. I got a coach. I just started investing in myself as a leader because I recognized, okay, if 75% of your team leave, that's not them. No. That is all you. You are the driver of this bus. You are the captain of the ship. So you better take control real fast.
Man. Yeah, we definitely have similar stories.
We
really do. No wonder we're in this space too. Okay. So did you take, like, once this happened, did you take that? Then obviously you started training, you started strengthening the training of your team, having accountability and kind of like, the KPIs in place and all that kind of stuff. Is that when you kind of created the infrastructure that was replicable in all these other places? Is that what happened?
We had that infrastructure in place. I just wasn't holding anyone accountable.
Oh.
I wasn't telling people what I needed, right? I was carrying the load myself. And so we had a lot of that in place. I just finally learned how to talk about it without feeling icky, right? Sales and healthcare gets a bad rap. It just
totally
does.
Yes. Yeah.
But we're all selling, right? And to me, sales is nothing except for an exchange of confidence.
Yes.
I believe you have a solution and you believe your solution will help me and make me better in some way, right? So once I understood having those conversations and I could hold people accountable, I could hold myself accountable, right? Like, it was a lot easier for me to just work super, super hard and not recognize that my team isn't catching up, or that I do need to have a conversation with the person at the front desk because they're not doing X, Y, and Z, right? It was easier to be too busy than to actually have those difficult conversations. And so those just became the forefront of my work, and also being vulnerable with my team. Like, listen, I'm a brand new business owner. I'm 2 years in. Like, bear with me, help me. And so I just started hiring people that wanted to help me rather than people who just wanted to come in and clock in.
Oh, so true. Yeah.
And you have to slow down to do that, right? You do have to slow down because it's not, I was just having this conversation with one of my consulting clients yesterday. She's like, how do you guarantee you get the person you interview, right? Because how many times have you interviewed somebody and they've shown up in an amazing way, and then you don't see that again until the day you let them go? You're like, oh, you're back. Like, I didn't see you the whole time you worked for me because you changed your personality. And so I think, you got to slow down. You got to be very deliberate, and you have to know what you're looking for. If you don't know what you're looking for, if you don't know the strengths you're looking for, you don't know the type of personality you're looking for, then you're going to make rash decisions. And that's exactly where I was.
Yeah.
I was just a new business owner. Like, who can I get for cheap? And how quickly can you start? Right. That was what I was
You're like, we just
for.
need hands. We need hands. We need hands. Like, and that's a horrible 100%. Place to be, or hiring out of desperation, or like, and you're right. Like hiding behind busy. I feel, I mean,
Mhm.
I have been guilty of that so many times. It's like, oh, I'm just so busy. Like
Mhm.
looking back, I'm like, this is such a BS answer. I,
It
I didn't
is.
want to do that work. I didn't want to have that conversation. I
Mhm.
didn't want to slow down to check in on the work that was being done and having something documented that states like this isn't up to speed or quality or any of that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because those can be very tricky conversations if you're not
Mm-hmm.
prepared, if you're not educated, and none of us went to school and learned how to be a leader.
No.
We've had to step into it on our own. We know a lot of things. We all have doctorates and big
Mm-hmm.
degrees, right? But how to have a conversation, how to tell somebody, hey, we're getting complaints that you smell bad, right? Like awkward.
Yeah.
Nobody told me how to do that in college, and
Yes.
so you have to learn that, right?
Oh gosh, man. I've had that myself with people
Mhm.
complaining about someone who
Yes,
smelled. Yeah.
yeah. It is what it is, and so, I think we
Uh-huh.
being an entrepreneur, starting your own business, having a small business, whatever it is the most difficult deep dive you will do in your own personal
Yeah.
development because you are the only person to blame.
So true.
You're the only person, right? So you have to look in the mirror and you have to go, look, this isn't a skill. This isn't something I want to do, but I've got to do it. No one else is going to
Hmm.
do it. So I better learn how to do it,
Yeah.
right? And going back to the being busy, it's like even now when I say I'm too busy, I catch myself.
Hmm.
Too busy what? And is it really I'm too busy or did I just need to give myself a true break? Because that was another thing I wasn't doing. It's like, of course I felt busy. I was doing everyone's
Yeah.
job and, not giving myself a break at all because I thought if I stopped, the wheels would fall off.
Hmm.
I had to learn to, you know, give up control, ask people to help me. And I really had to learn how to communicate in a way that was
Hmm.
effective, held people accountable, and got us to the ultimate goals of where we really wanted to go. And I mean, having a team that is just as excited about hitting goals as you are makes all the difference in the world.
Totally.
All the difference in the world.
Absolutely.
And so I didn't know that when I first started,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
like
And I mean, even like
I
people
didn't.
now, they're trying to sell a dream to their teams currently. Same for even now it's
Mhm.
like, is the dream of the office is it big enough to fit their own dreams inside of it? And
Yeah.
if you can manage that, then or if you can manage to cast a big vision, they can latch themselves onto it.
100%. That's always part of my goal setting is what are your dreams as a part of this
Yeah.
team? Who are you? And it's helped me so much in learning that this family is trying to have a baby and that's part of their dream for
Hmm.
next year. And this person wants to work less hours and that's part of their
Hmm.
dream. And so how do I fit that into the business and also work with them in just feeling
Hmm.
fulfilled, right? I mean, nobody wants to come to work and just punch a clock, and if they do then they don't belong on my team,
Absolutely.
right? I want somebody who wants to wake up and challenge themselves and feel excited about the work that we're doing and the company that we're building and the reputation that we
Yeah.
have. And if that's not if that's not visible, then we're all at a disadvantage for sure.
Absolutely. So when you talk about like even the awareness piece of you knowing that you're the reason why it's your leadership that's the problem. It's
Mhm.
usually on the other side of blaming everyone else. It was somebody else's fault for a long time, whether it's the patients, whether it's the team, whether whatever. I
Mhm.
don't know. Like it probably not for everybody, but for me, it was like the blame game had to be other people because I the unwillingness to look in the mirror and then finally going, okay, like in order
Mhm.
for us to actually get through this and be on the other side, there's going to be some mirror facing that needs to happen, and then you're going to have to deal with what you see, and
Absolutely. Again and again and again,
Always.
right? You don't get to just go through it once
No.
and everything's perfect. I mean, I just had a conversation with, one of my employees who was frustrated with some decisions that we made, and it was like, okay, I'm going to look in the mirror. I'm going to look in the mirror. I hear this feedback. I hear this
Hmm.
frustration, and thank you. It was, I was like, thank you so much for having this conversation. I think um, it is difficult to tell your boss what you truly
Hmm.
think, but I love that people can do that with
Yeah.
me and help me to become, an even better leader, but also to create a place that we all enjoy
Yeah.
coming. Right? Like I love this business because it's something I
Hmm.
created, and I love this business like it's my baby. And I also love my team like they are part of an extension,
Hmm.
right? I will do anything for you, but we've got to have open communication, and I've got to know that you've got my back
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
And that is harder to keep, to build the larger you
Hmm.
get. With 70 employees, I can't say that I have that relationship with
Right.
everybody, but those that rise to the occasion all the time are the ones that they
Yeah.
care. They care and they want to be here. And I saw that a lot with the diagnosis, my husband's diagnosis of cancer.
Yes.
My team just stepped up so much,
Mm.
and finally, like 60 days in, I was like, okay, you guys are not bothering me. The phone calls have stopped. Like they just didn't want to bother me with anything.
Mm.
And I was like, I still love this business. I still care about you. Yes, my heart is being torn apart and I'm going through something
Yeah.
terrible, but I am still here for you. And please help me get out of my own head and work a little bit
Yes.
because
Yeah.
it was that, then you recognize, wow, I have created an amazing team.
Mm.
I've created a team that truly cares, that does step up and wants to move forward and be there for me when I can't be there for them in the way that I want to be or that I have been in the
Yeah.
past.
No, yeah. I mean, I was going to ask you, and I'd want to go into this because I know you got hit. I mean, y'all got hit with this news very recently.
Yeah.
Like it's still very
Yeah.
fresh. Um,
100%.
you you started consulting. So you've done the practice, you went through this thing. Now you went into more of a leadership consulting.
Yes.
How long have you been
Mhm.
doing that? And what did that look like for you?
Yeah. So we'd have to backtrack to 2020. I had grown the business so much that I could no longer see patients. It was like I've got to step out into that true CEO
Hmm.
role. And I did that, but I felt a loss. I felt a loss because I wasn't having that interaction every
Yes.
day and getting that dopamine hit of helping
I
someone.
feel that. I
And
feel
then
that so much.
yes,
Yes, yes,
yes,
totally. Hmm.
real, right, for us. I felt a loss, and then the pandemic happened.
Mm.
And I was like, "Oh my gosh, now I'm working from home." Like, I was getting dressed up every day, going to the clinic. Now it was a total perfect storm for me. And what I decided was in my spare time, because now I have some,
Hmm.
right? I'm going to go back to school, or I'm going to join a program to learn how to be a
Hmm.
coach. And I was like, I've loved working with my coach, and I wanted to work with a coach. And so I spent some time doing that. And my vision was I'm just bringing this into my company. I'm coaching my
Hmm.
employees, and I coached all new salespeople once they came into the organization. I was creating teams of coaches within my organization, just support, 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 especially during the pandemic. And then I had a previous student, call me and say, "Hey, I think I want to open a practice." And I was like, "Hey, I think I can help you." And
Mm.
it just was from there, right? It started. And so I've been consulting for about three years now. Yeah, maybe four. And it's been fun to work with other professionals like you and
Hmm.
I who know where we're going. We know what we
Hmm.
want. We just need someone to hold our hand along the way and put us back on course when, we want to go down bad crying in the gym,
Yes.
right? When you're wanting to cry into your wine glass,
Yes.
it helps having a coach
Hmm.
beside you. It helps having someone who's been there,
Hmm.
who can just walk you through it and help you see sides that you're not
Yeah.
aware of, right? Sometimes we get blinders on and we can't see all the solutions. And I think that's the beautiful thing about a coach
Yeah.
is, hey, I've been there. This is how I've done it. and
Yeah.
you got
Forces
this.
someone to take you from looking down to looking up. And
100%.
it's like,
Yes.
hey, look here. This is a
Mhm.
look what
Mhm.
actually is in front of you. I know we're like
Yes.
fixated, as you said, like the blinders are on, but it's like this fixation on a problem. And then
Mhm.
usually fixating on the
Yeah.
problem is never going to give you the solution.
No.
No. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's changing your
Yeah.
perspective.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Mhm.
Okay. So now
Mhm.
Jamie is currently working through, well, you've been leading,
Mm.
then you made executive decisions. You had a podcast, that's still there, but you're like, I'm going to step away from it. And you had good
Yes.
reason. You've
Yeah.
been prioritizing availability and margin in your life for the health of you and your husband. And
Yeah.
this summer you received news. Would you like to share a little bit about that and how that's impacted
Yeah.
what you're doing and currently and how in your own leadership?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. In July, my husband went in for a GI scope, and we found a 3-inch tumor in his esophagus. And we found out in July that he had stage 4 cancer. It was metastasized. It had spread to his collarbone, his spine, his lungs, and it was complete devastation. It was complete devastation. And my husband is an extremely private person, and also just we were both in so much shock. He just couldn't talk about
Mm.
it to anybody but me. And so, I tried to go on through my day. Like I said, I got to call my mom. It was like, who do I tell that doesn't violate his
Mm.
privacy? And so it was like that Monday, and my phone is blowing up, and it's stupid stuff. Like the air conditioner's not working. And I'm
Don't
like,
care.
I don't
Yeah.
care. Nothing
Yeah.
matters. And so, I reached out to my business partners, and I was like, look, this is what's happening. And it was, it was just, what do you need? And I was like, I just need my phone not to ring for the rest of the
Yeah.
week. Like, that's all I need right now. And so, we navigated it. The outlook was not good. The traditional oncologist said, you've got 18 months to live. We will buy time with chemo. And my husband is young, and he is healthy, and he runs a marathon every year. And it didn't make
Mm-hmm.
sense. It just didn't make sense. And so it was not an answer we could sit with or that we could live with. And so we did a lot of investigation, and we decided to go the integrative care
Mm-hmm.
route, which meant he had to move to Scottsdale,
Mm-hmm.
Arizona. And he has done, oh my gosh, I think 14 weeks there, um, of integrative care, of chemo, of new stuff that we just don't talk about in the oncology
Mm-hmm.
world, and it's working beautifully. I mean, his tumor has shrunk. The cancer in his lungs and spine are like 99% gone.
It's
I mean, it's
amazing.
amazing. And so
Praise
we are so
God.
hopeful. I don't know what next year is going to look like, but it really did. It made me slow down. It made me slow down in a sense of I had to think about what is a priority, who is a priority, and where do I actually have energy to spend, right? Because even though you have something going on, it's like, I mean, every time I flew to Scottsdale, I bawled on the airplane.
Mm.
Like the amount of nice, kind strangers who would just pat me on the back, or the time I came out of the bathroom and every single flight attendant was like, "Are you okay? What do you need?" You know,
Mm.
that that type of stuff is just going to happen, and it's going to be there. And then you have to realize, like, who do I want to spend my time with? What do I want my business to look like? And I'm so grateful for the team that I had to carry me through those first 30 to 60 days that felt like a complete blur. And also my consulting clients who just always want to start our calls with how's Russ
Mm.
and how are things going,
Mm-hmm.
right? Just knowing that love. But it really did give me an opportunity to step back, take a break. And I did the podcast. I actually did my last episode of the podcast on purpose to take a break, like 2 weeks before he was diagnosed with
No
cancer. So
way.
talk about divine intervention. It was,
Wow.
I just had this calling that I'm not having fun. It's too much work. I'm I'm just not where I'm supposed to be.
Hmm.
And so it was like, oh, I'm not doing that anymore. And since then I've had a desire to start it back up, but make it from a lens of how do you survive
Hmm.
when you're going through hell?
Hmm.
I'm not the only woman in the world whose husband has been diagnosed with
Yeah.
cancer. I'm not the only woman in the world who has gone to work and dried her eyes before she walks
Hmm.
in. Right. And so, how do we get through that? So, I have tried to think about this from the beginning of what is cancer doing for us rather than what is cancer doing to
That's
us,
so good.
right? What blessings and the amount of people that I've met and the things that I've learned about cancer and the community and the treatments and the options
Yeah.
out there. It strikes a match in my heart to do something
Hmm.
bigger with that. And so I don't know what that looks like right now. But I know it's there and I know it will come to me when it needs to.
Yeah.
And I just need to get him home and safe.
I saw your like video of him setting up the Christmas tree, and I was just like, oh, I
Yes.
love that for you. Like, I
Yes.
want that for you, and I want that for you guys.
Yes.
Um, but like, I I want to be careful saying this, but it's like this whole like gift of something so severe, and I obviously would not want you to navigate that, and whatever is kind of
Right.
provided an opportunity to reevaluate when maybe we wouldn't have reevaluated what
100%.
matters the most, and it cleans up your schedule. It cleans up it's how quickly it's like something like that. You're like, you know what? Then it's like, where before
Yes.
it could be cluttered and it's like you have something that extreme and then all of a sudden you're like, hmm, and
It gave me permission to say
yeah,
no, right? It gave me, it was like the first time during situation where, I told my mom no, like I, and not that I have never, I've just always been, let's go with the flow. Let's be a people pleaser. Let's have fun. And it was like, no, no, no. I know you think that's what I need. That's not what I need right
yeah,
now. Having that, being able to say that, and it's like a muscle. We just keep practicing. No,
hmm,
right? No, I cannot come to your birthday party. Or no, I am not spending all of December stressed about gifts for
no,
people. No,
no.
I'm not doing it. Right? Like, don't expect a gift from me
Good
this
for
year.
you.
It's
No,
just not
I love
happening,
that. No, it's like
right?
we've got bigger gifts to be praying for right now, and I'm sure they all
100%.
understand that. It's great that you have such a great
Yeah.
support system. And I will, say that, I can hear it in your own voice, like the purpose. And I see it on your social media too. Whereas like before, even you stated before I did in our mastermind, like how much easier it is for you to show up when it's
Mhm.
it's tied to not just yourself, it's tied to a purpose beyond
Yes.
you. And
It really,
I mean, I don't know what your algorithm is saying about like like the likes and the this and the that, but I can only imagine it is escalated tremendously because it's A, people want to support you, B, people like the story that you're sharing is so vulnerable, um and what you're sharing is so real because so many people are rocking it, or they may
yeah.
walk it, later. They're going to remember your
Yes.
name, and come back to that, because those are the
Yeah.
people that spoke into your life, or people who had gone before, or you've heard their personal
Yes.
journey. I know Jess Bulkey was one of the people integrally,
Yes.
like she was intimately a part of some of that, like pointing the arrow.
Oh,
um
absolutely.
but I mean,
Yeah.
like there's so many that are, you know and so when you talk about your podcast, kind of taking a little pivot in with that purpose in mind, I think you're onto something.
Absolutely. And you're right. The social media has gotten so much more engagement because it is a thing that we crave, right? This
Hmm.
authenticity. And I'm not afraid to put our pain
Yeah.
out there and our hope, because if it weren't for people like Jess
Hmm.
Bulkey, if it weren't people like Stephanie Asher
Yes.
that had talked about their own
Yes. Yeah.
journeys, Russ would still be in Kansas City, probably, you know, spread cancer. I mean, it could have been so much worse. And because other people were willing to share that vulnerability, I find it easier to share my vulnerability than my successes,
Mm.
right? Like Steph will always give me a hard time. She's like, I don't understand why you don't introduce yourself as an 8-figure, businesswoman with 20 clinics. I'm like, because I'm not comfortable there yet, or it doesn't feel like the most important part of me.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
Like the most important part of me is that I survived when 75% of my company quit.
Yeah.
I have survived.
Like, here's my badge for this and my badge for that. And it's like, I'm more proud of me for those things. Mm-hmm. I totally hear you on that. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. And so for me, the social media with Russ's journey is about, empowering other people to take their healthcare seriously, to do their own research, to not take the first answer that they're given, and to ask questions. Yeah. And if they want to ask questions of anybody that's been there, done that, like, give me a call, right? Like, I'm open. I want to hear about it. And I have met such beautiful souls on the internet who've seen my story and have said, oh, I went to Envita, or can you talk me through it? And now I'm coming to Envita and help me find a house. Like, if we didn't have that community, Russ and I would have been so lost. And so I think it's an obligation of mine to continue to pass that on. And does that merge with, the business consulting in the future, the podcast? I don't know. I think I'm just here for the messages, and I'll figure that out later.
I love that. Yes, it'll unfold for you as you're going out in this, but I love seeing y'all's journey in it. I'm cheering for all of it, praying him forward. Like, everyone needs to be praying for Russ and for Jamie and her strength through this. And the prayers have been answered. Like, there have been some powerful prayers answered for this, and continue that. Absolutely. I'm going to put a link in the show notes too, to connect with Jamie. Also to her Instagram account, so you guys can follow. And then also, I want to put Envita there as well. So that way people have, based on this conversation, you never know who's going to hear it. And it's been an impactful place for a lot of people that have come out the other side of cancer. And it's insane.
Yes. Hopefully 2026 will be a big year of celebration.
Absolutely. Well, I so appreciate you just sharing your heart and your vulnerability, and like, just in all of it. Your arc of your story is beautiful, and then what you're currently navigating and how you're leading through this is remarkable. So,
thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I love what you're doing with this podcast. So excited.
Oh, well, thanks again. And guys, again, follow Jamie, and you will be blessed by it. But I'll see you guys next week. Bye for now. Thanks for tuning in to Burn It Better. Follow the show so you never miss an episode. And if you're feeling generous, tap 5 stars or write us a quick review. That's how this work is going to grow. I'd love to hear what stood out for you in this conversation. Share this episode, tag me at Southern_Cairo on Instagram, and pass it on to someone who needs it today.